It's thebarlive.com PMS for a Tuesday afternoon, the Pugs Moran Show. Jimmy Ryan with me. Jimmy, we're at a very last-minute sort of live remote today, aren't we?
Yeah, the back nine on Beltline in Addison.
Now, I feel like this is my home away from home. We used to do all kinds of events here last year. It's nice to be back at the back nine.
Mm-hmm.
What's, I just pull up. Sorry, folks. I took for granted that the internet was working, so hold on. Let me connect here very quickly. This is back nine Wi-Fi guest, I'm guessing. That would be the one. Back nine, by the way, located on Beltline Road here in beautiful, sunny Addison, Texas, just between Midway and Marsh. It's Beltline at Runyon, right? Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's Runyon right there.
Yeah.
For those of you who enjoy fine Italian food with a seafood kick, it's across the street from Lefty's. You ever been to Lefty's?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Is it?
Yeah, right across the street. I love Lefty's. Lefty's is good. All right, I'm not getting an internet connection here, so we'll worry about that in a break. Right now, we're just going to go into a little three things conversation. We do it each and every day here at the start of the show. Three things that are on the top of my mind. Although, because we have such a big three thing, we may actually just do one. Because there's one three thing that I went back and forth on whether or not I wanted to make this an actual part of today's show or if I just wanted to mention it in three things. And I figured the best way to do it would be just mention it in three things since it's what's bugging me the most.
Uh-huh.
And then if it turns into its own topic, so be it. I'm an organic kind of guy, Jimmy Ryan. I'm not going to bust balls over something like that.
Yeah.
So let's get into some three things. A couple other things I wanted to mention. Let's see here, thebarlive.com. You check us out online. By the way, our numbers, our view numbers, we went over 200,000, which was really great. Do you know where we are? I haven't checked it in a week.
No, I haven't looked at it in a little while.
Yeah. I think I'm going to get a little angry at some point because you know how when we started, they climbed really quick.
Right.
50,000, 100,000, 150,000 people, 200,000 people. At some point, it's going to stop. At some point, it's going to stop climbing.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like 200,000 for like a month. So I promised myself that I was going to stay away from it for a month just to see where it is so I wouldn't drive myself nuts with the numbers. So I'm going to go with 200,000. Unless you've seen it and it's higher, and then I can say a bigger number. Then I'll go back on my original plan.
That's the best way to go about it. Just go there. It'll be a surprise. It'll be, maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing. Either way, it's a surprise.
Oh, brother, I've been through a lot. I don't like surprises anymore. I like to know exactly what the hell is coming my way. But, very nice start to thebarlive.com. You can check us out on Facebook as well. Facebook page is horrible. Oh, it's terrible. You know why? Because nobody's doing anything there.
Yeah.
It's like everybody is still maintaining their own Facebook pages, and then they're like, oh, yeah, we have this new one we're trying to build up. But I'm guilty as anyone of doing it. I totally forget to go to the new Facebook page.
Well, and it especially shows when I set up that script so that each time that the podcast gets updated, it goes to the Bar Live's Facebook page. And now the last 4 updates are the podcast.
Yeah, that's all that's there. I used to put little witticisms and little links to interesting stories that maybe didn't make it on the air or whatever. Hey, okay, I want to direct your attention over to the television right now. Uh-huh. We're watching ESPN, okay? And because I'm up and home during the day when I'm not doing this show, I watch a lot of daytime ESPN. Now, the guy on the right is Chris Mullen. That's Spuds McKenzie, former Golden State Warrior, NBA great, one of the members of the 50 greatest basketball players of all time team.
He looks like somebody who would be named Spuds.
Yeah, well, but he doesn't look like a basketball player, does he?
No.
He doesn't look like a guy that would be considered in a league with Jordan and Barkley and all those guys.
He looks like an astronaut.
Yes,
he
does.
He looks like he'd be an astronaut named Spuds.
Or his name would be Buzz. Yeah, or Spuds. Yeah, Spuds is a good one, sure. Yeah. But what I want to draw your attention to is the woman that he's sitting next to. The woman he's sitting next to is ESPN anchor Sage Steele. Have you ever seen her before?
No, I haven't.
Oh, man, you got to look at her. I just... I'm not known to be one who goes after the Nubian, Uh-huh. I mean, I find black women beautiful, but I've never really pursued a black woman. But holy crap, do I find her sexy as hell.
So you definitely be in pursuit of that one?
Oh, yeah.
I wish they would show her again. They've cut away for a little while.
Trust me, they linger on her. They spend a lot of time with the camera on Sage Steele.
The camera just constantly slowly pans towards her.
You know what else she gets that I think is funny? She also gets all the big interviews with the superstar athletes.
Oh, yeah.
They're all willing to sit down with Sage Steele somewhere and talk to her about whatever's going on.
Uh-huh.
She's like a model. She's like super tall and really thin and sexy and...
That's what works, man. I mean, like, if you're like...
Yeah, tall and thin works? Really?
Well, no, I'm saying, like, for, like, the sports, like, the girls that do, like, the locker room interviews and stuff like that, like a guy will totally pass off even like a really well-known guy at ESPN after a game. He doesn't really care. But a really hot journalist that they've been like reading little bits and pieces from, they'll definitely stop and do like a quick little thing with her. You know, so it works really well.
They'll invite her for a ride home.
Yeah,
she'll get the interview in the front seat of his Lamborghini or whatever the hell it is that he's driving that he wants to. Yeah,
the exclusive story.
Right, I'm sorry, distracted. This is what happens when I go out to live remotes. I get distracted by TVs and all that stuff. Girls. Distracted by what people are eating. By the way, Back Nine, fantastic lunch menu. Come on out. I can't encourage you enough to come by here and check it out. I can't say it's new anymore because the Back Nine's a success now. It's been here, 3 years?
Yeah.
Something like that?
It does still feel new, though, for some reason.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because that's what I associate with it.
Yeah. Well, it looks good. And it seemed like since the last time I've been here, they've done some changes. Looks like the bar is a new bar. Looks like they've done some decorating.
Built up the patio on the other side.
Yeah, I saw that. That looks great.
Yeah.
That looks great. This is a great place to come out and have some drinks when it's nice outside. Back Nine, once again, located on Beltline Drive between Midway and Marsh. All right. See, I'm distracted by Sage Steele. Although, what do you think's going on around? Look at where her elbow meets. She's got like some skin folds there that I find unattractive.
Yeah, I think that you may have built her up a little bit more than I was expecting.
Well, okay, and also let me. In my own defense, what we're doing is we're seeing she's outside, the wind is blowing, her hair is going. Yeah. Studio Sage Steele is fantastic. Okay. Because she's always standing there, real statuesque.
Right. That's fair. That's not necessarily a fair comparison during the day.
They make her stand a lot. Like she stands, and for like usually SportsCenter anchors are at a desk or something, they make her stand. She stands and interviews people.
Does she have to put one leg behind the other in that little model pose?
No.
Have you ever noticed that?
No, I haven't. Explain.
Yeah. Girls will especially if they're like model type girls, if they ever even in casual pictures, they'll take one leg and tuck it behind the other foot, because it basically perks up their legs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, is that like how they put their arms down at their sides when they want their boobs to look bigger?
Yeah. And I noticed this the time that it actually ended up losing the legitimacy of what I was watching with CNN. They now have Brooke doing this.
Yeah.
Which is
wouldn't you, if you have to have someone doing it, would you make Brooke Baldwin? No, you don't like Brooke Baldwin.
No, I don't
forgot
like
about
her.
that. You suck.
No, she's not a great journalist.
Who cares if she's a journalist? She's a hot girl reading the news.
Exactly, and that's why she's doing the model tuck, and she's doing that's not what I tuned in for. I tuned in for current events.
Great journalists look like me and Wayne. They don't want us on TV. They want Brooke on TV. They want her with her long legs and her red dress and her pouty lips. We do all the work. We get the story. And then she reads it. She presents it to America because America's stupid and they can't take news from an ugly person. So it's got to be a good-looking person.
Well, at some point we got to revert back. At some point.
Yeah, well, there was a time, and again, we're in the Three Things segment here, random conversations. There was a time when people on TV were ugly. Mm-hmm. When TV first started, the original news guy, Walter Cronkite, was never Brian Williams.
Right.
Yeah.
I
mean, Brian Williams is a good-looking man. When Brian Williams was 20 years old, he was a good-looking man. When he was 30, he was a good-looking man. Mm-hmm. That's why he got into television anchoring. Walter Cronkite was never a good-looking man. Yeah. He was just like sort of, he's a journalist. He knows what he's talking about. Let's put him on TV.
Yeah. I think that's there's something to be respected about that. And I'm not saying put really just atrocious people on. I did see a broadcast from Ireland the other day, and it was two people that were standing the news desk. They shouldn't have been on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was
bad teeth, pasty skin.
It was at that point I could have said, okay, put Brooke Baldwin on, have her do the model moves, because that was it really was that bad. But you can do a happy medium. You can find a middle part there.
Well,
some point.
But why?
Yeah, right. They aren't going to get ratings from that.
Why? Who cares? Yeah. You just put the hottest people you can on TV. Mm-hmm. Bingo, bango. There you have it. All right. I referenced my friend Wayne is here. Jimmy, you know my friend Wayne, don't you?
Yes.
Hi, Wayne. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Now, here, let's pull that up real close. You think a guy who works with instruments and microphones for a living would know mic technique.
There we go.
There he is. See, it's my old friend Wayne from the Pub and Grub. We all remember the old stomping grounds of the Pub and Grub, don't we? Mm-hmm. How are you?
I'm good.
Now, I haven't seen you in a while, but we are still friends, and it's nice to have you back here. You've been out on the road. You know what Wayne does now?
What's that?
He just hangs out with rock bands all the time.
Oh.
It's like his job. What do you do? You own a bus company that he leases his buses out to rock bands. Well, I should have probably let you answer since.
Well, that's exactly what I do, and then I'm a front of house engineer, so I mix them as well.
So who have you been out with recently?
Just finished with a band called The Battles.
I don't know who they are.
They're big in Europe.
Okay.
So we just did Bonnaroo.
Everybody's big in Europe, though.
Everybody's big in Europe.
Everybody.
The drummer's 6'7", so they're really
So
big
they're really big in Europe,
really
yeah.
big.
That's big for a European.
But we just did Bonnaroo, and that was kind of cool. We parked right next to Alice Cooper.
Bonnaroo. Now, isn't Bonnaroo in Tennessee? Isn't it like the big yearly?
It's about an hour south of Nashville.
Yeah.
And it's the Woodstock of Tennessee, but it's not. There's no country music there whatsoever.
No, it's alts and it's like hard stuff. It's young music. It's college music. It's for the college kids.
Red Hot Chili Peppers were there. Alice Cooper, of course. Bunch of bands.
Who else have you been out with recently?
Been out with the Toadies.
Yeah, I know you drive them around.
We just did a opening act for Social Distortion and the Toadies. So
God,
that was
I love Social Distortion.
that was a cool gig.
Yeah, that would be an awesome concert to see. Let alone just be the guy that's, taking care of them.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, Mike Ness he's a pretty quiet guy.
He's a genius. Mike Ness is as responsible for what we now call alternative rock and roll in America as any other single guy.
It's pretty funny, actually, because we were in, Social D had a bus, we had a bus, and then they had a semi, which it was full of 20% of the gear, and the rest of the semi-trailer was filled with antiques.
Antiques?
Mike Ness would go out every day. He's a picker.
Really?
He would go out every day and find stuff and stick it in the semi and then play the show and on to the next town, and he would go out picking.
So he's like a hoarder. I imagine his home is just filled with crap.
I guess he's got a couple of stores in Southern California.
Like antique shops?
Yeah.
See, now that is so funny because you wouldn't think that, Mike Ness of Social Distortion, all tatted up, does he still look like a greaser from the 50s?
Oh, yeah.
He's got like the slick back. I mean, he looks hardcore. Social D, man. I mean, Social Distortion. They're about as legit as it gets. You wouldn't think that he would be a guy that would you'd walk into an antique shop in Southern California and Mike Ness would be behind the counter.
Yeah, he's probably not selling it himself, but he did buy, we were in, I think we were in Reno, and he bought $26,000 worth of cashmere jackets.
Oh, good, because who doesn't need $26,000 worth of cashmere?
So, yeah.
And then it started to rain as he was bringing it out to his car.
So, one addiction to another addiction, I guess.
Yeah. Who else? You were out with the Damned, right? Were you out with them? No, not the Damned. Queens of the Stone Age. Which one?
No.
No? I don't know who I had a whole bunch that I thought you were out with.
Been out with a young band called Colts, which are up-and-coming band, really cool. I think that's my phone ringing in my pocket there.
No. Well, go ahead. You answer that phone, and we'll get back to waiting. You're going to stick around with us today, right?
Absolutely.
All right, good, because I want your unhinged opinions on things. Talking about Mike Ness, I want another documentary. Every day I like to suggest a documentary for everyone to watch. I caught one on Father's Day, which I thought was excellent. It's called, maybe you've heard of it, because I had heard of it, but it's on Showtime this month. It's called The Other F Word. Does that sound familiar to you?
No.
Okay. Here's the premise of this documentary. The Other F Word. The Other F Word stands for fatherhood. And they did it for like 2 or 3 years. They followed around these icons of punk rock, icons of alt, just Southern California surf music and skateboard music. And for instance, like Pennywise was one of the groups that was focused on. Mark Hoppus from Blink-182. Just Black Flag, everybody. And the premise of this documentary was, how can you be a father and still be this punk icon, on stage diving, drinking, all of this kind of stuff. And it's about the balance between these guys that can do it, that go home. Like, for instance, the lead singer of Pennywise, which is a really pretty hardcore punk band. He's like the greatest dad in the world. It's like they went home. Yeah. He's got 3 little girls. They're like 10, 8, and 5. And it was really interesting to see them, because they did a great job in the documentary of sort of juxtaposing the two worlds that they live in, like the tour bus and the onstage and the drinking and the chugging. And then, boom, 12 hours later, he's landing at the airport and his wife and kids are picking him up. And then all of a sudden, boom, he's no longer the rock star. Now he's Don't do that. Stop. Put that down. I'm telling you, little girl, stop. It's like, it was really interesting. If you get a chance to see it, it's on Showtime all month. It's called The Other F Word.
It's kind of like work to them, those guys.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, I was out with Good Charlotte and the two brothers. I mean, they're pretty hardcore tattoo.
The Madden brothers, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
One's married to Nicole Richie. They got 2 kids. They came out on tour with us. They had the family bus, but the kids would come in sometimes for sound check, and they would hang out. And Joel was totally dedicated to his kids, and then he'd get up on stage and spit at people.
Yeah.
And,
the F word and all
right,
that.
exactly.
And then he'd go backstage and hug his daughter.
Yeah.
It was a great, it's a great documentary. If you can see it, you check that one out. We do a lot of documentary talks. I'm on a documentary kick. I like reality.
I do like that because I came across an article that was kind of showing that like first impressions or like ways that certain people might be perceived, normally, and then what they really do. So like for instance, like a guy with like complete sleeves down his the sides of his body or down his arms, like all of a sudden he's like a neurosurgeon, so you're like,
right.
Oh wow, So like I think that is kind of cool to be able to see somebody who's in a punk band. You would assume he just goes home and shoots up heroin or something.
Yeah.
But no, he's actually a productive dad.
Well, what it shows is, it's show business. It shows that these guys are putting on a show.
Right.
No matter how legit or how much street cred they want to pretend they have, the reality is, and one of the guys even says, the reality of my life is that I go home and I become Ward Cleaver. And I don't think that their fans can really wrap their minds around that, because it is such a different, it's 180 degrees from who the average fan thinks these people are.
Well, the fans consider it a fantasy, so they think that fantasy rolls 24/7.
Right, yeah, they're buying into an image.
Right.
They're buying in, and they, on some level, the fans, I think, know it. Although Jimmy has long been a proponent of the idea of bringing back the dead rock star in the hotel room.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want it to be a fantasy anymore.
No.
You're tired of these guys going on stage and then going home to their kids. You want them to go on stage and then go to a hotel room and overdose. That's
saying,
what you think will save rock and roll.
I think that by the time you hit like that late 20s, early 30s, you're able to go over and become Mark Hoppus. You know what I mean? Like that's okay.
Okay, but in your 20s.
But yeah, early 20s, you're supposed to be a rock star. You're supposed to have stories that you go, hey, look, I may not do it anymore, but look back a couple years, you'll see a couple news stories.
Couple brushes with death.
Yeah, and I'm like, all right, cool. You earned your stripes.
A couple of drowning pool experiences.
Yeah. A couple of drowning experiences,
Yeah.
Every band member or every band seems to have somebody that has passed away in that way. All right, the other one, we'll do another rock story here. The Rolling Stones, have you heard this? The Rolling Stones have announced that they are going on tour once again. This will be, I don't know who's going to fall for this. This is their last tour ever, again. So, if you didn't go last time on the last tour ever, you better go this time on the last tour ever. And, tickets are going to be a little pricey because it's the last tour ever. They're never going to do it again.
Yeah, they only made $850 million on their last tour.
So they're going to do one more last tour because I don't think they serviced everybody that wanted to be serviced by the Rolling Stones. So they're going to come out and they're going to do it one more time. Now, I saw the Rolling Stones like 20 years ago on one of their last tours ever. And I remember that was the reason we went, because I wasn't particularly a Rolling Stones fan at that time. I mean, I had much respect for them and all that, but, wasn't really a big Stones fan. But I figured, hey, you know what? I got to go. I had a list of people that I needed to go see.
It's their last tour ever.
It's the last tour ever. 20 years later. Fool me once, Mick Jagger. I ain't going to see you. And they were very good 20 years ago. But even 20 years ago, they were very good for old men. I was like, they were good for old dudes.
Yeah.
But now it's 20 years later. How far down the scale? I'm like, how am I going to have to adjust my bell curve for this one?
Yeah. 20 years after this, they're going to be doing the same thing. You're going to be like, they're doing pretty good. I mean, they can't really move much.
Maybe they're not really touring. Maybe it's just that 3D image.
Holograms. Yeah. Well, that'll be the next thing. And that leads me into my next point, commercial that I heard. I wanted to talk about the Rolling Stones, and I heard a commercial on the radio coming up here. The balls on some people. Do you know Michael Jackson is coming to town? Mm-hmm. Michael Jackson is touring. He is touring. He's going to be at the American Airlines Center. It's like next month.
I didn't realize it was going to be American Airlines Center. That's
where the balls on these people. American Airlines. What, you're going to show a movie? A movie that's essentially available at Redbox? Isn't that This Is It Michael Jackson movie or whatever?
I thought.
Wow.
Is it black Michael Jackson or white Michael Jackson?
I don't know. I don't even know what era of Michael Jackson
Maybe
it
it's
is.
both.
Because now you can do whatever you want with him. If you
Yeah.
want to see ABC done in the original way,
Jackson 5? Yeah.
just show us. But, I mean, who's going to go to this? Who's going to go and see a Michael Jackson? He's dead, so it's really got to just be a concert film? Or is it like a hologram thing? I think I would have heard more if it was like a hologram thing.
I heard they're bringing Elvis Presley back as a hologram.
Sure, he's going to open.
Yeah.
Elvis is going to open for Michael.
Are you serious?
No, I have no
Oh,
idea.
okay.
But
No,
why
it
not?
seems just as crazy.
Why can't you do that? Why
Yeah.
can't you now stage the Beatles and have Elvis open for the Beatles? And why
Yeah.
can't you do
yeah,
that?
they're going to do something in Vegas with Elvis.
Oh, wow.
I think Caesars, they're going to do a hologram Elvis concert.
Okay.
Elvis is almost in better taste, though, than Michael Jackson. I just feel like if you go to see Michael Jackson as a hologram right now, it's going to be a really eerie atmosphere in American Airlines Center.
It would be funny to see the chunky Elvis Presley come out on stage and go,
Of course.
Thank you very much.
1974 Elvis. That's what I want. I want 1974 Elvis, right when everything started to hit the fan. You know, where he started to let himself go. He was trapped in Graceland. He only did a couple of concerts.
I'd appreciate that, like a hologram Elvis, more than I did the one that I saw in Vegas, who was just like a drunk, really off on drugs guy who, like midway
there's
through.
300 Elvises in Vegas.
All right, so there you have it. You got Elvis. You've got the Rolling Stones touring again. The Michael Jackson concert, which I don't understand. It's going on at American Airlines Center. I want to talk to somebody about that. I want to find out. I would love to talk to the promoter and just get the spin on that.
It's probably a Live Nation event. I can find out.
I would love to speak to someone that could come on the air with us and explain exactly what the hell I'm in for. Because I'm thinking it's just a movie. And if it's just a movie, well, I just saw that Michael Jackson movie. And it was good.
Maybe they're going to paint up Bieber or something.
Okay, that brings me to my next thing. Bieber this morning. Okay, Justin Bieber was on The View. All right? None of us are little girls here, okay? April, you're a little girl. Maybe
Still
you can
a huge
explain
fan,
it.
though. No.
Still a huge fan?
Yeah.
What is it about the female wiring? And this is not necessarily about Justin Bieber. It's about females. What is it about the female wiring that allows them to have complete and utter meltdowns whenever a celebrity of Justin Bieber's stature comes near them? We've seen it with the Beatles. Remember the old footage of the Beatles where the girls
Right.
were collapsing? They just couldn't control themselves. This morning on The View, the audience was filled with 13, 14-year-old girls, and it was insane. I was looking at these girls going, oh, all right, ladies, come on, hold it together. I mean, honestly, there isn't anything that could happen that would cause a man or a boy to have that kind of a meltdown. Even a little boy meeting Kobe Bryant or LeBron James, who might be his idol, wouldn't have that kind of a meltdown. They might recoil and be a little shy and all that, but they're not just going to completely just overflow with, ah! What is that?
I've seen this at book signings too. Like, and it's not necessarily like a guy icon. It can be like one of the girls from The Hills, you know.
But when did this start?
I don't know.
Because I've seen it as far back as images of Frank Sinatra in the Bobby Soxers, who would go crazy back in the 30s. Did they do this for Mozart? I mean, did they do this for? When did this start? And when did it become? Because I'm half of the mind that what we're seeing today in Justin Bieber is just something that girls do because they've seen it done before in other generations and they just assume it's okay. But some group of girls had to do it first. And I just don't get where that started or how that happens.
Now I'm just thinking of Bach leaving like a big show. Bitches be crazy.
Bitches be crazy for Bach. Oh, they love him.
Hanging off his stagecoach.
Yeah, or whatever. No, I mean, seriously. I mean, there is something in a female girl's wiring that just allows them to lose all dignity, all self-respect, everything at the drop of a hat. Justin Bieber walks in and they just become complete fools. I mean,
it's like something isn't fully connected there.
right.
Yeah.
It's like they go insane. It's like they literally go temporarily insane over someone, and everyone just accepts it. Well, there's got to be some treatment for that.
And he's not all that good, really.
You know, he's really not. He's not. I'm sorry. He is not. I watched both of his songs today, and I was like, you know what he is? He's a cute kid. He's a real cute kid. I mean, I can totally see why 13-year-old girls would be into him. Cute kid seems like a nice kid, too.
I think it's marketing, too. Disney takes those, like Selena Gomez and those kind of, and they put them on those little TV shows on the Disney Channel,
Yeah.
and they hype them up, and they hype them, and they hype them, and they hype them, and those kids buy into that, and Disney spent a ton of money on Bieber, a ton of money.
And they found him on YouTube.
Right.
And now look at him.
That seems to be the precedence in the music business nowadays. Instead of an artist coming out and having talent and, producing a song themselves and trying to get a label to invest in them, now the label is taking there's a pretty guy, play this song to our music, we'll
produce it, we'll do the track.
We own the song, we own the music, you sing it, we'll pay you this much, and we'll promote you. And it's like a puppet.
It's exactly the Brady Bunch episode where Greg Brady was turned into Johnny Bravo. You remember that episode?
Yeah.
Somebody saw him at the mall or whatever. I guess they didn't have malls back then, but they saw him somewhere, and they said, "Hey, you've got the look." And the whole thing was he fit the suit. The only reason that he was Johnny Bravo was because he was decent looking and he fit into the suit.
I really think these major labels are going away here in the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, you would know as well as anybody. The record industry has got to be. They're in bad shape.
It's in the crapper. I think the bigs are going to be management companies, and that's it. That's the only way they'll be able to make money.
Here's what we have right now. These are the industries that have completely gone away. You've got the record industry. We talked last week about the porn industry, about how there is no porn industry anymore because everybody's just uploading their own home videos.
Right.
So nobody's buying them. And the tubes, the .com tubes, have ruined the adult business, the stores and all that. Nobody buys videos anymore. Nobody has to, or DVDs. The newspaper industry. There is going to be no newspaper industry in this country in the next couple of years. It's all going to be tablets. It's going to be online. You're not going to get a hard newspaper the way you once did. It's not needed anymore. That means of delivery is no longer the way it's done. Radio, we've talked about radio. Standard, typical terrestrial radio is dead. Nobody, especially music radio, no 20-year-old kid hears their new favorite song for the first time on the radio. And they certainly don't call the radio request lines and say, "Would you please play this song?" Because they can pull their favorite song up on their phone anytime they want at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, when iTunes is the number one distributor of music in the world, there's a problem in the industry.
Yeah, and so you got the record labels too. The record labels, they can't sell records anymore because everybody's downloading it. The newspapers can't sell newspapers anymore because nobody wants to pay for it. They just get it online for free. The radio business, nobody wants to listen to music on radio anymore. The world is changing. It was the same for about 50, 60 years, and now we happen to just be at a point now where everything is shifting, and we got to figure out how to keep up.
Here's a perfect example. That Gaudier, the Australian Belgium guy.
Right. Wait, he does that song.
Somebody that I used to know.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I can't think of how it goes. Catchy song though.
He produced that himself, made a cool video, put it on YouTube, and it started trending, and he got, over the course of 6 months, he got 57 million views.
See, look at there's no record company in the world that can guarantee that kind of distribution.
Out of that 57 million views, 12 million people bought that song on iTunes, and it's $1.09, and he gets, because he did it all himself, he got about 48 cents out of that $1.09.
Yeah.
Instant millionaire.
Well, it's the same thing with what we're doing here. We just said we looked at our view counts. I said I wasn't going to look at my view counts for the next month or so. Because in the first month, we did over 200,000 views. 200,000 people downloaded the shows and listened to us here at thebarlive.com. Now, if we were doing terrestrial radio, there is no way that I would have access to that kind of hard data. There is no way. They would keep that from me. Or some ratings agency would cost the station, $100,000 a year to do those numbers for them. You don't need them anymore.
Right.
Screw you, Arbitron. I've got my hit counts right here. I know who's downloading these episodes. I know who's watching live. We know all of this stuff. The world is a completely different place. All right, we need to take a quick break here, Jimmy Ryan. We're broadcasting live today. It's a lunchtime show, last-minute lunchtime show out here at the bar. I'm sorry, the Back Nine.
The Back Nine, yeah.
Got a little confused there for a second. Back Nine, conveniently located right here on Beltline Road, beautiful Addison, Texas, between Midway and Marsh. It's Beltline at Runyon. Come on by. They've got a full menu of delicious and affordable lunch items. And they've done some great things in this place.
And Michael Jackson's here.
And Michael Jackson, yes, he is here. No, we can't say that. We can't say it. Oh, why not? Sure we can. You know why?
Because he's dead.
And we're doing it ourselves. Who are they going to sue? They can sue me?
That's right.
Can't get blood from a stone, my friend.
That's right.
Bring it on. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back with more. Here's what we're going to get into. We're going to talk about Rodney King. Yeah. We're going to talk about Roger Clemens. Roger Clemens got acquitted. Make mention of that. We're also going to talk about, Jimmy, have you been following this big New York club brawl that occurred last week between Drake and Chris Brown?
I saw a lot of stuff on Twitter about this.
It's fantastic. It involved Tony Parker from the San Antonio Spurs was involved.
Wow.
People went to the hospital. I mean, we're talking I think like 15 people went to the hospital.
Jeez.
The brawl was so extensive at this Manhattan nightclub that the city came in the next morning and barred the doors and said, you know what, you guys are closed.
Wow.
We're not doing this anymore. So we'll get to the bottom of that. We'll find out what or who was the reason that Drake and Chris Brown got into a bottle war. I mean, they were chucking bottles across the club at each other.
That's intense.
Giant people were getting hit with bottles. Heads were getting busted open.
Any videos yet?
I don't know if there's any video, but it's been written about extensively. So we'll talk about that here, plus a whole bunch more. We've got our Douche of the Day tournament. We've also got a watch list, all kinds of stuff to get to today live from the back nine. It's PMS, the Pugs Moran Show on thebarlive.com. It's thebarlive.com, PMS, the Pugs Moran Show for a Tuesday afternoon, broadcasting live, a last-minute lunch broadcast from the back nine here in Addison, just between Beltline, well, it's on Beltline, between Midway and Marsh. Come on by, have yourself some lunch, watch the show if you will. Yeah, we were just talking about that, Wayne. Wayne, my buddy Wayne Neal is with us.
Hello.
Of course, longtime listeners of the show know Wayne from the old Pub and Grub days. Jimmy Ryan is here as well. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, what's going on, man?
What were we just talking about? We were just talking about something that I wanted to get into here.
Roger Clemens?
Yeah,
Your fascination of black women?
didn't really want to jump in on that. Yeah, Sage Steele. She's delicious. Oh, I know what I wanted to talk about. All right, I'm on the Drudge Report right now. Now, listeners to this show have probably become accustomed to hearing me berate the motives of the Drudge Report. I've been saying this for weeks now. I've been pulling out stories that Matt Drudge puts up on the Drudge Report and saying, it makes me a little uncomfortable with what he's doing. Knowing the kind of people who the Drudge Report is marketed to, here's everything, folks, is marketing. Okay? All right? I think we talked about the Wendy Williams show the other day when Adam Carolla came on. Did I mention that on the air?
No, I think that was afterwards.
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this stuff on the air. Everything has a target demo, folks. Everything you eat, everything you watch, everything you hear, everything you see, everybody you like has a target demo. Last week, Adam Carolla was on the Wendy Williams show. Now, Wendy Williams, of course, is a BET talk show host. Now, Adam Carolla is not in that target demo. So he comes out, and the first thing he says is, well, I'm not in your target demo. And Wendy Williams got all upset at him.
Isn't she on, like, Fox in the morning?
She's also on Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got two shows, multiple shows. This was the BET show, or at least a show I watched on BET that she was on. But yeah, she's also on at like 10 a.m. on Fox.
I can't believe that girl has multiple shows. I just found out who she was when you introduced me to her, and she is just unbearable. I've seen her in multiple videos now.
Yeah,
unbearable.
I don't know. I'm not in her demo. I'm not in her demo.
Yeah, I guess I'm not either.
So for me to say she's unbearable, it doesn't really matter because I do recognize certain qualities in her that would make her a successful television host in that demo. But I never got Oprah. I never understood the appeal of Oprah. But then again, I'm not in Oprah's demo and never have been.
You didn't like Oprah's favorite things?
No, I did not. So at any rate, everything's got a demo, and I've been. The demo for the Drudge Report is right-wing conservative. That's essentially what it was created for. Matt Drudge makes very little bones about that. Now, that's the official, or the initial, I should say, demo. But, I like the Drudge Report because they do have a nice, the format is good because there's a lot of bizarre stories that get posted up there. And when you do what I do, you go to it. So there are other people looking at the Drudge Report, but in its inception, it was created as a conservative blog, a conservative news blog. Matt Drudge's opinions are very conservative. He's very right-wing.
It launched with the
Clinton investigation.
Yeah.
Matt Drudge was the lead sled dog in the Monica Lewinsky story. Mm-hmm. Matt Drudge was the one who first printed that story, and everyone said, oh, it's on the internet. You can't believe it. Well, that story also, that along with O.J. Simpson, those two stories sort of changed the way people view the internet. There used to be a time when people would say, where'd you get that? And someone would say from the internet, and you'd go, oh, please. Yeah, that's not the case anymore. Legitimate news is broken on the internet now every single day, more so than it is with the news agencies and newspapers and all that stuff. So knowing that Matt Drudge's target demo is the white, right-wing conservative, Christian, whatever, it struck me as odd that a large majority of the stories over the past couple of months seem to have been a bit racially inflammatory. He just posts the story, okay? The story he has nothing to do with. The story is always a link to another news source. But the headline he writes. He writes all the headlines. And there was, a couple weeks ago, I remember reading 3 in a row that were gang of black youths attack white man. A black father has 15 kids and no child support. Stories like that, one after another. So about a month or so, I decided that I was going to start keeping track of this because it struck me as odd that I would read the Drudge Report as I do every day, and there were stories that made me feel uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable like, oh, it's terrible that a gang of black youths in Baltimore beat up a guy on the street, but it's uncomfortable reading the headline, like, where is he going with this? What is the purpose of this? There are other news stories. This is a small local story about a gang fight in a Burger King. Why is this making the front page of the Drudge Report?
And you showed me an instance where it was the same story, 2 headlines, but he actually went in because there was such a really crazy quote that was put in another story.
Yeah.
He went to that one later on and ended up, it was the exact same story, but he wanted the crazy little quote in there as well.
It was something like a black guy saying, I hate white people and I'm going to kill all white people. And it was in the story, and he had a link to the story. Black guy says, or black guy attacks white person.
Yeah, in a drive-through. That's
what
it was.
Underneath it, there was another story, another headline that said, I'm going to kill all white people. But when you clicked on it, it went to the same story as the original one. So he was just putting that extra headline out there for what reason, I don't know. Now, I had a couple people send me emails and stuff and say I was crazy and I was just too much of a liberal, which anyone who knows me knows is not the case. I'm certainly progressive, but I wouldn't call me liberal. I'd say I'm more moderate than anything else, socially progressive for sure. But then I'm watching Bill Maher in the next breath after I say I'm not liberal. I'm watching Bill Maher. I like Bill Maher. I like the guests. I like the conversations. It's an interesting show. And do you have the audio?
Yes, I do. Actually, for the people watching, I also have the video as well.
This blew me away. I'm watching Bill Maher. This is at the end of the show. And he says this. He goes into this. Jimmy Ryan, if you would, please.
Fell on the head of poor little Gwyneth Paltrow. She was, listen to this. She was on stage with Jay-Z and Kanye West in Paris. Now, Jay-Z and Kanye West have a song called Niggas in Paris. Fuck you, I don't care. So she got in trouble for tweeting the real niggas in Paris, and even used the asterisks in the N-word, okay? And everybody in left and right, black and white, came down on her. She was on stage with the people who wrote that song while they were actually in Paris. Doesn't matter, she's a horrible racist. I would just like to say, the problem with racism is not Gwyneth Paltrow. The problem with racism is Matt Drudge. I picked from Matt Drudge's website, just as over a month, we monitor this, just as a couple, show some of the pictures that were on Matt. There, Mike Tyson, looking like he's gonna eat your head. Oh yes, Louis Farrakhan, because he's so relevant now. Oh, and Marion Barry, he's in the news every day also. Oh yes, Reverend Wright, because he matters to your life so much. This is who appears on the Drudge Report. And, oh yes, and there's Al Sharpton telling Eric Holder what he should do. And Michael Jordan angry, because that's how we all remember him. This is racism in America.
It is. And
All
it
right,
goes back
now,
to
what he's talking about are the giant masthead pictures that he puts up. They're eye catchers. They're things that are supposed to make you interested in what's going on. And he showed a bunch of pictures that Matt Drudge has put up over the last month of black people looking really scary. You know, these people take pictures all the time, but Matt Drudge chose the one. Michael Jordan was the best example. Michael Jordan does Hanes underwear commercials, and he put a giant picture of Michael Jordan sitting on the bench at his Charlotte the Bobcats team, who suck, and he was looking all mad, like really angry-looking Michael Jordan. Come on. Obviously, I feel now justified in making that statement a month ago that somebody else has noticed the same thing, yes?
Mm-hmm. And he didn't even go into the stuff that you were pointing out to me, which was the double posting of things and making sure that the
I was
headlines
more
were
in
really
depth
crazy.
in my criticism than Bill Maher was.
Yeah.
However, I do want to say that he did this on Friday, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Matt Drudge did a story yesterday. Bill Maher blames me for racism, and then put a link to the thing. However, there has not been one. Not Monday, not yet today, not Sunday, not Saturday. There has not been one story on the Drudge Report that would prove Bill Maher's point. It's as if Matt Drudge went, all right, we got to tone it down, guys. All right, they're on to us. We got to tone it down now. There is nothing today. There was nothing racial today at all on the Drudge, and there wasn't yesterday, and there wasn't on Sunday. So it's like Matt Drudge can deny it or claim that Bill Maher is just some screaming liberal, but in my opinion, someone who have been monitoring this pretty closely over the last month, he's he hasn't done it. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely taken it to heart, and he's now laying low in the racial weeds.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even really know this Matt Drudge. Has he really made all that much news on himself to where he's become the story, or is it mainly just his news source?
It's his news source.
Yeah.
Matt Drudge he definitely has an agenda, but
Right.
Matt Drudge is a pretty effective New World journalist.
I was going to say effective marketer. He knows how to,
Well, maybe that's what New World is.
Right, and that's really all it is. I mean, like, he knows that because of his old-style website, there's no actual backlog. You can't, hit back and see what yesterday's news stories were.
Yeah.
So, like, he just basically clears all that off. So unless you're looking at the cache, you don't know what his old headlines were. So it is pretty brilliant for him to see that Bill Maher was calling him out. Go in there, get rid of all of those, all of a sudden start acting like that's not your agenda. But it will come back. He knows that he just needs to ride this little storm out, get as much attention as he can from Bill Maher, and then start back on the old racism train.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's just interesting. Someone has called him out, and so now he's laying low. We'll see. And I will be the one I monitor every day. Every day I will now be looking for examples of this. So if you don't hear me do a Drudge under the microscope segment, then you know that he's behaving himself, or that Bill Maher has actually affected his tone on the website. All right, now let's move over to something that I'm sure Matt Drudge would love to be talking about right now. Thursday night. Wayne Neal is with us. We were talking about what Wayne's doing, hanging out with bands and traveling the country and going all. Have you done any European tours or anything like that yet?
Not lately.
No, but you have?
Yeah.
How do you learn to drive over there?
I don't.
You don't drive over there? You just send the bus?
No. We ran a bus over there. I'll tour manager or front of house over there.
Oh, okay. All right. So you won't be driving over there. I was gonna say, hey, in Australia, you're from Australia. What side of the road you dudes drive on?
The other side.
Oh, you do? Why you do that? You're so much like us in so many ways, and yet you go the other way on the driving.
Well, you got to get your left hand and arm tan rather than your right.
Oh, is that it? It's a nice way to even it out. All right,
Drive
Thursday
upside
night.
down, too. It's always uncomfortable.
Upside down?
Yeah.
Okay. How would that? My brain isn't working like that today. I couldn't figure that out.
Your feet are the same.
Oh, the brake and all that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But you're on the other side.
But yeah, we're on the other side.
Yeah, I don't like that. I rented a car in Ireland, and it was the most stressful thing I've ever done.
There's only three places in the world that drive on this side of the road. America, forget where else. Canada, I think.
Yeah, they drive like us in Canada.
But everywhere else.
What about Mexico?
I think they drive on the other side of the road there.
I don't know. We'll have to check that out. Although I'm staying away from Mexico.
Mexico, there are no rules.
There are no
if
rules.
I've heard right, yeah.
Just lanes. Move aside.
First one there, go.
All right, this is great. Thursday night, all right? Thursday night in Manhattan. One of these fancy Manhattan velvet rope clubs with the bottle service and the celebrities and all this. There was a big gathering, not for any particular reason other than it was a beautiful Thursday night in Manhattan, and all the celebrities were coming out to party, because that's what you do when you're a 20-something-year-old celebrity. You party. At this particular bar, in the VIP section, you had Chris Brown and his posse. Okay? Chris Brown, we all know Chris Brown beat the snot out of Rihanna, trashed the dressing room at Good Morning America. Every other public word out of his mouth is that he's a mama's boy and a good kid, and he's totally misunderstood, yet he keeps doing these things that would suggest otherwise. Talk about the marketing of someone. Mm-hmm. Chris Brown is at one table with his people, and at another table, you got Drake. Now, you know who this Drake guy is?
Heard of him. Heard a lot of his music.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He's
Gangster rapper.
I don't think he's gangster. Is he gangster? Is he hip? I don't know. I thought he was like a pretty boy that all the girls like, and he's kind of like a smooth, sort of seductive singer or something. I don't know. April, do you know? Yeah, more like a ladies' man kind of, I'm Drake, all the chicks dig me, baby, woo, woo. You know, like that kind of stuff.
I would love it. That's his #1 single, and you just hit it right on that.
Because it was so predictable. All right. So Drake is there. There are a number of other people. There's a bunch of big-name models floating around, as would happen when you've got this kind of collection of people. Tony Parker of the San Antonio Spurs is there hanging out with some friends. Well, apparently, and I'm not up on all of this gossip, but we all know about the relationship between Chris Brown, right? Chris Brown and Rihanna.
This all sounds like a perfect setup for a game of backgammon, which is what I'm sure you're going to be telling me happened right next.
A game of battleships.
Yes. Oh, and there was some other hip-hop singer, some rapper that was there as well from Philly, whose name I didn't recognize. Oh, Meek Mill Anyone ever heard of Meek Mill?
No.
Me neither, but apparently in the world, in the scene, he's kind of a name, like an up-and-coming name. We'll all hear about him in a couple months probably or something like that. Well, Meek Mill was there too. Now, Meek Mill is sometimes linked to Rihanna as like her new little boy toy, her new little pet project. Chris Brown, we know about Chris Brown's history with Rihanna, right?
Right.
The only woman he's ever loved, and they're destined to be together. He's still just totally in love with Rihanna, all that stuff. They get caught by paparazzi holding hands, in like faraway places, and they deny that they even talk anymore, but whatever. Drake is also there. Now, Drake had a relationship with Rihanna right after Chris Brown.
Damn.
So you've got these three guys.
Popular girl.
Slut, right? I mean, she's starting to seem like a bit of a slut. Sounds like she's getting around, like she's being passed around by all these rapper guys. Rihanna, who is at the center of this whole thing, isn't there. However, Meek Mill is with his posse, his entourage. Drake is with his posse, his entourage. And Chris Brown is with his posse and his entourage. Chris Brown, as the story goes, sent a bottle of champagne over to Drake's table because there had been some jawing between the camps over Rihanna. Drake is no longer with Rihanna, but he was for a period of time, blah, blah, blah. So Chris Brown, if you want to look positively on Chris Brown, you could say, well, he's trying to do a nice thing. Send a bottle of champagne over to his adversary saying, hey, man, let's just have a good time tonight, right?
Was it Cristal?
You'd have to think, right? You'd have to think it was one of those fancy champagnes that they use. Well, Drake's table didn't want the bottle of champagne. They said, you get rid of that champagne. And Drake apparently wrote a note on a napkin that said, I'm fucking the love of your life. And had the waitress give it back to Chris Brown. And then she brought the bottle over to Chris Brown, okay? That he returned. Now, that's all you need to know. Now I'll go into the actual story, okay? Because this is the latest. This was just posted. MTV is going crazy over this. This is like the JFK assassination.
They brought back
MTV.
They brought back Kurt Loder just for this.
Yeah, it's like the biggest thing that's ever happened to them, trying to figure out exactly what this story's about. The nightclub where Chris Brown and Drake's entourage collided in New York City last Thursday has been shut down. And over the weekend, more patrons who claim they were harmed in the scuffle have come forward with more details. While Meek Mill has finally spoken out about what he saw. In addition to Brown, who posted a photo of his split chin, Chris Brown got stitches in his chin, Tony Parker got glass in his eye. There was some model girl from Australia who got 60 stitches in her head. Whoa. A bottle was completely cracked over her head. I mean, you have to realize that we're in a place like this, and they are chucking bottle service bottles. These are young, in shape dudes.
That's crazy, too, because bottle service, isn't it like $300 for a bottle of vodka or something?
Yeah.
Not when the record company's paying, Who cares? All right, so in addition to Brown, who posted a photo of his split chin, as well as the singer's bodyguard, who sustained a head injury, that was the worst injury. Big Pat, who was Chris Brown's bodyguard, laid on top of Chris Brown, and apparently his head got bashed in. I mean, it was messed up. They took him out in a stretcher. It looked bad. But that bodyguard earned his pay. That's what a bodyguard gets paid to do.
Yeah.
Geez. In addition to Brown, who posted a photo of his split chin, as well as the singer's bodyguard, who sustained a serious head injury, NBA star Tony Parker and Australian model Holly C., two more people have come forward to say that they were also injured in the melee. 21-year-old model Ingrid Gutierrez's lawyer, she's already got the lawyer speaking for her, spoke to E! News about what happened to his client early Thursday morning as she chilled out at Chris Brown's table. Ingrid was with Chris Brown and his entourage, just having a good time. She was at his table right next to him when this occurred. She was just having a good time. A 21-year-old out, a young lady at a nightclub in Manhattan, and all of a sudden, a bottle came from the direction of Drake's table. My client has informed me that a note was passed from Drake to Brown in regards to something with Rihanna. That's the note that supposedly Drake wrote, I'm banging the love of your life. I don't want your champagne, I'm banging the love of your life. Which is, we can all agree as guys, that's a dick move, right?
Dick move.
Yeah. I mean, really, these guys almost did exactly what I would have hoped, which is like basically implode on each other and just cancel each other out in the nightclub. That would have been the great new news story. Hey, by the way, we don't have to worry about Drake or this guy anymore.
Well, the thing is, these monsters, these animals, they have no regard for the average person that just happens to be in their wake.
Right.
I mean, they're creating this situation where innocent people are being hurt simply for being fans, because that's the reason these hangers-on, gather around the table and all that. It's ridiculous. It says here the note was in regards to Rihanna, but that he could not reveal the details. Okay, so the lawyer's not going to reveal the details of the note. Well, that's okay, because MTV already broke the details. Not because he can't verify the authenticity of its contents. He knows what the contents are. Then Chris Brown, who after he received the note, Chris Brown was about to get up and leave with his entourage. And that's when a bottle from the direction of Drake's table came and hit Chris Brown's table. The model reportedly suffered a blow to the head and is out of the hospital and resting after sustaining bruises, stitches, and trauma to her face. You're a model. That's a big deal. I can see why you'd want to get an attorney.
Yeah.
You take a bottle across the face?
Well, maybe she was a foot model.
No. No, Wayne. I don't think foot models get access to the VIP room.
Maybe not.
Her face is bleeding. She's like, oh, thank God my feet are okay.
Maybe she was a Walmart hand model,
No, not with Chris Brown. I'm thinking she's probably a legit model. Perhaps hinting that legal action could be on the horizon, he added, basically like any model, your looks are everything, and with today's technology, with HD, a scar, even though this one is not small, is going to be magnified to look very severe. The attorney also suggested that surveillance tapes, which I can't wait to see.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. I want to see the surveillance tapes of this melee. Suggested that surveillance tapes from the clubs will be available shortly. MTV News reportedly have been subpoenaed by the NYPD and are being reviewed because MTV is now in possession of the tapes. The tapes, believe, will answer the question who started the brawl, hinting that it was sparked by Drake's table. Another victim, Lucy Pavlovsky, that sounds like an Eastern European model, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Lucy Pavlovsky, or the daughter of the girl who cleans your house. Yeah. It's my daughter, Lucy. I keep making that reference here and nobody gets it. Where I'm from, the only people that clean houses are Polish immigrants. We don't have Mexicans clean houses here.
Yeah, they're Mexican down here.
Yeah, I've been here over a decade. You'd think I'd have that straight now. Let's see here. So she told Lucy Pavlovsky suffered a gash on her arm that reportedly required 12 stitches, and her lawyer told TMZ that a lawsuit against the responsible parties, including the club, may be on the horizon. The Soho nightclub was shut down by police on Saturday. Let's see here. In addition, WIP. WIP is the name of the club. W.I.P. I don't know what that stands for.
Maybe they'll be changing the name to Whippin'.
Yeah, ass whip. Yeah. To date, Brown and his attorney have given statements to police, but a spokesman for Drake said the Canadian MC has no plans to submit to questioning. Why would he turn himself in when he did not commit any wrongdoing? Rep. Kelly Bush told the New York Post over the weekend. Police denied reports that Drake was to be arrested during his show at Jones Beach Saturday night. That did not occur. While Brown's attorney has been heavily hinting that Drake was involved in starting the melee and that his client was a victim, Chris Brown expressed his own feelings of victimization on Twitter on Friday. In since deleted posts, Brown lashed out at gossip site TMZ, writing, at TMZ, y'all full of S. It's insane how your stories are not informative at all and far from the facts, Chris Brown said. Brown, who has a history of posting Twitter screeds and then quickly removing them, added, it's really sad. All y'all in that office sit behind a desk and hide behind your lives by trying to tarnish others. Good game, y'all. All right. So that's it. That's the Chris Brown-Drake melee.
Wow.
Drake, Chris Brown, at least the way it's being played out in the media, Chris Brown seemed to try and do an olive branch move by sending a bottle of champagne, and that was rebuffed.
I see the problem here. And you stated it when reading. It's Drake, because he's a black Canadian rapper.
Okay, so he's got to be extra hard.
That's right.
That's it. Because people think Canadians are soft.
That's the problem right there.
Yeah.
Black Canadian rapper.
What kind of a name is Drake for a rapper? First of all, what kind of a name is Chris Brown for a rapper or for a hip hop guy? What kind of a name is that?
Isn't that his real name?
Well, yeah.
Well,
they're not supposed to use their real name.
Supposed to come up with something different.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Like Drake. Drake sounds like a country club kid from Connecticut. Like Drake Van Heusen, or something like that. It doesn't sound like a hip-hop guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, there you have it. That's the big story over the weekend, the big giant bar brawl that occurred in New York City between Drake and Chris Brown.
I was there Friday in New York City. I didn't see anything going on.
Have you ever heard of this Whip Club? Your bands probably don't go to these same kind of clubs.
I try and stay out of the Soho area.
Yeah? Why is that?
Because there's a lot of Canadian black rappers in that
A
area.
lot on the loose. Yeah, it's a very dangerous place. We'll take a break. We'll come back broadcasting live today from the back nine. It is PMS, the Pugs Moran Show on thebarlive.com. And it's thebarlive.com, PMS, the Pugs Moran Show for a Tuesday afternoon, broadcasting live today. A last-minute lunch engagement here at the Back Nine in Addison, Texas. Right on Beltline between Midway and Marsh. The Back Nine, Serves good food, drinks, a nice bar, beautiful patio. I mean, this is a great place to come and just hang out on the patio. I know I've spent a couple of evenings out here as well. Jimmy, you come here from time to time, don't you?
Yeah, twice as much space on the patio now. Because
Yeah.
I know that a few times whenever it was like especially nice out and like a couple of my friends and I would want to go out and find a patio, we would drive through here and this side would be completely packed. Now there's another place you can go sit now. So
A little, would it be fair to say, similar in amenities with the porch and the patio and all that to a Duke's, but I would say a bit more mature crowd.
mm-hmm.
And by mature, I mean 30s as opposed to 20s, whereas Duke, you might run into a bunch of kids home from college. Maybe not so likely to find that here. More of an adult crowd here.
Right. Not the porn version of mature. The
Yeah.
the slightly older than college crowd.
Your age.
Right.
Your age crowd.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. All right. Again, we'll be out here all day. And again, here's a little reminder for you. Check out thebarlive.com. Y&R's new show is up, as well as Big Dave and Show, which I believe we're gonna change the name, right, of Big Dave and Show.
I think so, yeah.
All right. ... That story is developing. Stay with us. All right. Another big thing that happened this week that I wanted to get into. We didn't talk about this yet, but it was the big story. It was Rodney King was found dead at the bottom of his swimming pool on Father's Day morning. Rodney King, of course, he of the L.A. riots, the videotaped beatdown at the hands of Los Angeles police officers. Boy, 20 years ago. This was 1992. 1991, I think, is when he actually caught his beatdown. But 1992 was when the officers were acquitted of police brutality, and that, of course, spurned the L.A. riots from 20 years ago. 20 years ago this past spring.
When they announced that?
When the riots were going on?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, it's interesting you said it, because it's one of those moments where you remember exactly
Right.
where you were. When the announcement came down, I was producing a midday show. We were on the air, and I was in a recording room taking the live feed of the verdict being read,
Right.
and recording it and making sure. I remember I did it twice. I had a cassette tape recording. This is the old days, before digital. I had a cassette tape recording it, and I had the giant Ampex reel-to-reel recording it, because we knew it was going to be huge. So I remember I was in a studio, and I was like, whoa, that's a shock, because everyone assumed these cops were going to jail, and they all got let go. Now, later that night, I can tell you exactly where I was. I was at a bar called Stingray on the south side of Chicago. And I was waiting to see a band, and I was sitting at the bar, and they had the TVs, the CNN on TVs, and CNN started breaking into LA on fire. And I remember saying to my friend who I was with at the time, I think this is going to be really big. I got to leave. I can't watch this band. I got to go home. I got to make sure we're recording this. And I got to make sure that I'm all up on this, because I would have had to produce the whole segment the next day. I mean, we were obviously going to talk about it. So, yeah, where were you?
This is crazy, because both Rodney King and O.J. Simpson's verdicts.
Yes, I remember where I was for both of them. Same situation, too, by the way. I was recording.
Was walking. Both occasions, I was just getting off a plane heading to baggage claim on both. And I stopped to look at the TV when they read the announcement. And 50% of the people around me went, oh. And 50% of the people went, yay!
Well, I mean, it really was one of those.
Both instances.
That was. We're going to talk about this.
Right.
This is what we're going to talk about here. Jimmy, do you remember where you were? Was it that impactful a moment in your life, or were you still too young?
I think I was still too young. I don't remember that verdict. The first verdict that I really remember getting was OJ's.
Yeah, I think OJ happened after.
Yeah, it was like 4 years later.
94 or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so we all saw the video of Rodney King, and it's so strange because we take for granted now that everything is videotaped. But back then, it still was truly rare that somebody would have a video camera there.
Broke out a shoulder camera.
But, it's funny. Arsenio Hall had a good line that I thought was funny. He goes, you got to remember, this is 1992. Nobody in 1992 expected a black dude named Holiday to have a camcorder ready to go. It's true. Apparently that was the name of the guy who recorded Holiday something. And it's true though. I mean, today anything like that happens, everyone's got a cell phone, everybody's recording in a minute. But back then, you know, it was, oh, where's the camera? I gotta get it charged up. I mean, this dude had it charged up.
Well, I don't think they even had cameras in police cars then.
No, they didn't. They didn't, because we would have seen the dash cam video. We didn't see any of that. All we had was the tape from this dude Holiday.
One thing that really makes me kind of realize how quickly technology picked up in that case is 9/11. 9/11, you would think that there'd be hundreds of thousands of videos of the second plane. There's only like 2 or 3.
Yeah, there's really not as many.
There were no camera phones.
Today there'd be millions of cell phone videos.
Every single angle. You could do a 3D rendition of it with all the different angles. But yeah, there's barely any.
It's funny to think that in 2001, I think I still had a brick phone in 2001.
I think that I remember the bag phone.
Because I didn't get a flip phone, like a small. They didn't start getting small until like 2003, 2004.
Like the Razor was the first.
The hot phone.
Yeah.
And that was like 2004.
Right.
That was, but before that, we all had these big clunky flip phones, or people were still using brick phones. And
you could throw it at somebody and use it as a weapon as well.
Oh, yeah. And none of them had a camera on them.
No.
They didn't have a camera. What?
No.
What do you need a camera for?
Man, those Nokia phones, though, you drop it and it breaks the floor. Nothing, they would never break.
Those big ones, the big bulky thick ones?
Well, even just any of those Nokia ones, like the brick, like smaller brick version of the Nokias. Remember those?
I remember when I was young and it was cool to have a car phone, you know, the big black one.
Right.
Well, I found a car phone and hooked it into my car, and I would drive down the road pretending I was talking on the phone, because
Sure.
it wasn't even hooked up.
Why not? People, you get mad respect from people for stuff like that.
That's right.
All right, so Rodney King was found dead in the bottom of his swimming pool, which, you know, would Rodney King have a swimming pool if he didn't catch that beating? You know, would Rodney King have a home with a swimming pool if he didn't catch a beating and make $3 million in a civil suit?
He's still in California, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not.
No, Rodney King was not getting a mortgage. Rodney King was not. He was a career criminal,
maybe
an
on
addict.
above ground.
Yeah, sure. Maybe something from Walmart where you blow up for the kids.
Exactly.
But he basically, his life was essentially saved by this beating. He'd have been dead years before, I believe.
Yeah, what did he get, like $3 million or something?
He got $3 million, yeah,
Yeah,
from the
wow.
county of Los Angeles for the beating that he took.
Wow.
Well, I'm trying to think about to actually take. I mean, how bad was this? Was it real bad?
The beating?
Yeah.
You've never seen it?
I've never actually seen.
It was pretty good.
Oh,
Yeah?
dude, you got to pull it up. It's a beating.
$3 million good though.
It's more, I would think. I would
Oh,
think.
really?
I remember when that money came down. I went, really? That's all he got? Because he got the crap beat out of him by like.
Yeah?
He
4
kept trying
cops.
to. He kept resisting. He kept trying to get up, like he was. I think he was on crack or something.
No,
like
he
that.
was on PCP and Chevys
Oh.
Regal.
So they
And he was doing
they put him-
reportedly 100 miles an hour in his Hyundai through a residential neighborhood.
Whoa.
so they put him on the ground, and I think the problem was they could have handcuffed him right then and there.
Right.
But they proceeded to nightstick him for a while. But then he kept trying to get
Excuse
up.
me, he was also tasered 5 times.
Something like that, yeah. And he-
PCP though, man, like that.
Yeah.
You can do that.
As soon as he got up, man, they just wailed on him.
Oh
So-
man.
Well, here's what we don't have. We're going to talk about the beating. The beating was brutal. It was hard to watch. And it really is hard to watch because there's these 4 cops standing, and he's on the ground like a fish on the deck of a boat, and they're just, every time he'd move, they just crack him one more time. I mean, and they're not cracking him in the head. They're not busting his skull. Well, he is getting hit in the head. He's getting kicked in the head. He's getting all that stuff. But they are cracking him on the elbows. They are cracking him on the knees. They are cracking him on the hips. I mean, they are trying to inflict pain and
Yeah.
break bones. It was awful to watch. Now, here's the problem with that video, and this is it's a provocative thing to say, and I've had people shout at me about this. But we do not see the entire video.
That's right, we don't.
Old Holiday saw what was going on, and then he ran and got his video and started recording it. We don't know how it started. Now, if you believe the video that we see, the footage that we have available, it looks like 5 cops are beating the snot out of this guy. But, the cops all testified that he was out of his mind on drugs. He admitted that he was on drugs, that he would not leave the vehicle, and then when he did leave the vehicle, he lunged towards the police officers. I mean, the belief is that, at least from the cop standpoint, this guy attacked us, so we had to beat the crap out of him. Now, I'm not saying what's true and what's false, but I'm just trying to wrap my mind around this as a police officer. Police officers pull people over all the time, and they don't end up in these kind of beatings.
Does it take 5 guys to beat up one guy?
Wasn't really 5. There were 5 standing around, but it was really only 3 that were cracking them.
Well, even 3. I mean,
well.
I think that the police just like to do unnecessary, large numbers, though.
They were mad.
Yeah.
He had made them
the
mad.
LAPD are a bunch of pussies.
He had made them mad.
Even when you get pulled over, though. I mean, have you ever been pulled over and then one
yes,
cop?
Yes, but I've never been beaten.
And then then they got the second cop that pulls up. Then the third cop pulls up. Hey guys, what are you up to? Fourth cop pulls up. Hey, what you guys up to? Happen to notice you were on this blog too.
Yeah,
hey, you want to go get something to eat? All of a sudden it turns into a huge thing. They got nothing to do.
On the way home from New York, bringing the bus back, I passed a turned over truck on a entrance exit ramp. I bet you there were 50 emergency vehicles scattered around this.
For one guy in a truck.
One guy. Now he may have been a fatality, but the truck had tipped over and there was merchandise all over the road.
There is a lot of overkill with responders.
50 vehicles. It looked like a Whitney Houston disco dance party going on there.
Just nothing but cops and lights and well. All right, so they go to trial, and of course the officers are all acquitted. And the city of Los Angeles ignites in a race riot like they hadn't seen since the riots in Watts back in the late 60s. Now, because of all that went on, having really little to do with Rodney King the man, Rodney King in certain circles, certain segments of America, has become this icon of race relations, this icon of the struggle of the black man in America. He is
the go-to guy.
Yeah, well, he's like, oh, Rodney King. Remember Rodney King, folks? Rodney King is not Rosa Parks. Rodney King did not do something on principle. Rosa Parks sat in that seat on that bus in principle. She did not believe that she was less than other people, and she wanted to make a point. So she took her beating and she took everything that came with it on principle. Rodney King, there was no principle involved here. Rodney King was on PCP in Chevys Regal. He was driving his car like a madman. If he had killed somebody, it would be a completely different story. If he had killed a little kid, and now I sound like I'm quoting American History X, but that is true.
I wonder if we're going to start seeing Rodney King boulevards now.
No, I don't think so. I really don't.
I hope not.
Because I think anybody who would propose such a notion, there has got to be right-thinking individuals who go, whoa, hold on. Rodney King is not Martin Luther King. Rodney King is not Rosa Parks. Rodney King was a career criminal who was a damaged man. He had serious addiction issues.
Mr. Sharpton thinks, he's an icon.
See, but why? I mean, all due respect to Mr. Sharpton, but couldn't you... you need to have a conversation with me about this to get your point across, because I don't see how he's... What happened to him was important, but he himself was not important.
Oh no, I totally agree with you. I'm just revving.
But you are right. I mean, you are right. I mean, there are people out there who are claiming for some sort of canonization of this guy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
On CNN when they announced it, I couldn't believe this. They announced the story, and then they go to the L.A. Police Department, who's on the scene, and they talk to someone there, and then they come back to the anchor, this guy Don Lemon. And the way he wrapped up the story was like this. Rodney King, dead at 47. And then he looked all sad, and they went to a break, and I'm like, are you kidding me? He doesn't deserve this kind of...
Well,
Did you do that when Bin Laden got whacked? Did you go, Osama Bin Laden, dead at age 63? No, you don't do that for certain people.
There were all those great, moving speeches, though, that he talked about, and that he used that platform to become a leader in bringing everybody together, So
Rodney King did?
Rodney King.
What, on Celebrity Rehab?
Where he didn't do anything. The guy he had a platform, and he didn't do anything.
He did nothing.
He built a swimming pool.
Do you know what he did do? You know what he did do that I heard some people give him credit for, and I will give him credit for it? When the LA riots were breaking out, And he made that one line. Apparently, his attorney said, you got to say something. You got to hold a press conference. You got to say something. You got to do something here. I prepared a statement for you. And he took the statement and he said, I don't want to read that. He goes, I just want to speak from the heart. And that's where he said that, can't we all just get along line, which was all he said. You know, that speaks to the genuine nature of the man, that maybe he wasn't a thug and a mean guy, because as Arsenio Hall pointed out last night on one of these news programs, Arsenio said, he goes, I know a lot of brothers have been in that same situation who would not have said that. They would have said, take it, loot it, let's burn it all down. You know, but Rodney King had the presence of mind and at least maybe the genuine sweetness. And I'm not saying he was a terrible person. I'm just saying he's not Rosa Parks, that he knew that was the right thing to say.
Wasn't he arrested after?
Many
like for assault and
times.
battery?
He's been drunken disorderly. Right. He's been arrested for a number of times. Possession. All
they arrest him with bubble wrap the next time.
Yeah, right.
Oh, get him!
or do you think every time he sees a cop, does he just put his hands in front of him and go, "Do you need me for anything? Because I'm going to go peacefully this time. I promise." Wow. He is an incredibly important man now in the modern history of America. What happened to him in the ensuing riots and the verdicts and all of that, I mean, he really did change things. Because of him, Daryl Gates was removed as police chief of Los Angeles. The Los Angeles Police Department has supposedly gone under radical changes in the way that it conducts itself in certain neighborhoods in Los Angeles, specifically the South Central area. I mean, so it has done some things that changed it. But Rodney King, the man himself, is not a pillar of society. He's really kind of a loser.
Yeah, it was right. It was right place, right time for him to become, apparently, he woke up that morning and he wasn't going to become a huge figurehead for the movement of civil rights and all that good stuff.
He woke up he woke up that morning trying to get his drink on and seeing if he could get some PCP. That's what he did that morning. And, you know, it's strange to say, I don't know if I'd say this on terrestrial radio, but if somebody had to catch a beating for that kind of change to occur, and I'm talking about the change in the LA Police Department and the relations between certain communities in the LAPD, if somebody had to catch that beating, I'm glad it wasn't a purely innocent man. I'm glad it wasn't a guy on his way home from the third shift who was trying to get to his kids. I'm glad it was a career criminal, a total F-up, who probably deserved to catch a beating for other things that he'd gotten away with in life.
When it comes to police, like whenever I see like the videos of like police, they'll always say, "Oh, police roughed up this guy for no reason," and I'll watch it, and sometimes you can definitely see that he was obviously provoked in one way or another. Or other times, there's times that I get legitimately angry at the police for whatever it is that is going on. There's one time that I never get angry though. It's PCP and now bath salts. If either of those two are involved, I basically give you free reign on this because they're not human anymore. Like, if you've seen the eyes of somebody who's on PCP, that is legitimately scary. Now, I haven't seen...
if this happened today, it'd be bath salts.
Oh, right. That's what I'm saying. He'd
been on bath salts.
Yeah, I mean, like, the look that you get from some of these people, it's not something that's going to go down with a simple, like, hit with a baton. It's going to be somebody who gets right back up.
I'm going to eat your face off.
It's going to be an axe to the back of the head. It's going to be the zombie thing.
Yeah.
You're going to have to kill him like a zombie. All right, so now the details of the death. Apparently, he was living in his home, bought himself a home, good for him, with a swimming pool in Los Angeles.
Good thing he was living in it.
Good thing he was there. And he was there with his fiancée.
Fiancée, yes.
Who he has been engaged to, I guess, for a number of years.
She didn't get him out of the pool, though, did she?
She couldn't swim. She couldn't swim. And he was like 280 pounds or something, and he was at the bottom of the pool, and so she called 911.
Way to go, reaffirming stereotypes.
What about the leaf catcher, leaf net thing? Couldn't she
something? Well, again, he weighed a lot, but here's here's how Rodney King spent Saturday night. Drunk. He was doing drugs. He was drinking all day long and all night long. Remember, he fell into the pool at 5 a.m. Sunday morning, so he had been up partying. The wife was in bed, sound asleep, and then she heard him banging on the back window. He was apparently nude in his backyard, locked out of his house.
Wow.
Drunk, and probably, the same kind of behavior that led the cops to, think, what's going on with this guy?
He's in the confines of his own house.
Exactly, he's in his backyard. And then she says she heard a splash, And she looked out and she saw that he had gone into the pool and she didn't see him moving, so she then went downstairs and went outside and saw him at the bottom of the pool, recognized that she herself could not swim, so she called 911. And that's when they pulled him out of the pool. But here is some more details coming out today. A next-door neighbor of Rodney King said she heard the 47-year-old in his backyard sobbing uncontrollably early Sunday, apparently after he had been up all night. He's been partying. Then she heard a splash. King, an avid swimmer, how's that for your stereotype, Jimmy? King, an avid swimmer, was found dead at the bottom of his swimming pool Sunday morning, and detectives with the Rialto Police Department were still investigating the circumstances. King's fiancée, Cynthia Kelly, called 911 at 5:25 a.m. after finding him, telling detectives she was unable to get him out of the pool because she herself was a poor swimmer. One neighbor, Sandra Gardea, 31, said she heard music playing and a man crying in King's backyard from about 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. She also heard King's fiancée trying to coax him back into the home. It was like an argument, Gardea said. She was just saying, "Get in the house, get in the house." Then there was silence.
Oh, you know that this neighbor was just so fed up with Rodney King.
Oh, jeez, you know, right?
Yeah, can you imagine living next door to Rodney King? Oh, my God.
You know, did you see him on Celebrity Rehab?
No.
Yeah, I did. I watched that season of Celebrity Rehab. And, you know, what I was struck most by was
I thought you were joking when you said that he was on Celebrity Rehab.
Oh, no, he was on Celebrity Rehab. He's been in and out of rehab since this. The guy is an addict, a drug addict. He's, you know, he doesn't seem to want to stop. And
I'm telling you what, that Dr. Drew, he's not having much luck with
No.
Celebrity Rehab.
Not at all. Not at all. And, of course, we can rest assured that we're going to see Dr. Drew on all of these shows now,
Oh, yeah,
talking about Rodney.
He'll explain it.
Oh, yeah, it's a business for Dr. Drew
Absolutely.
now. Let's see here. Well, I was going to make a point here. On Celebrity Rehab, he came off as such a mess. Like, he was just like, this guy is just such a uncontrolled mess. But he did seem like a sweet guy. Like, you know, like he kind of accepting of the fact that he's a total F-up and that he's never going to be a positive contributor to society, and all he does all day long is drink, drink, drink.
Well, this is where our weakness is, isn't it? I mean, we can look at somebody who's a complete F-up, but, you know, we'll let that go because they're an F-up and then see, they're kind of sweet, though.
But he was kind of sweet. I mean, in the context of Celebrity Rehab, where everybody else is, you know, a pampered celebrity and they're all being bitchy and stuff, Rodney King was kind of the nice one. He was kind of like, okay. He seems to want to help people. He seems to genuinely want to get his life together.
If this guy has to move into your house, I bet you that when you come in to do the show, sweet is not going to be what you call him.
Rodney!
They should have sent him to jail and given him swimming lessons or something.
Well, he was an avid swimmer, so don't go there. King's other neighbor, D. Schneff, 58, said it was not uncommon for King to take a swim at night or early in the morning, and that he liked to swim in the dark. She was saddened by his death and, like many of the neighbors, described King as private and a quiet person. He was so sweet. He'd mow our lawns once a week and never ask for any money, Schneff said. It's unbelievable that he's gone. I feel like
3 in the morning.
Rodney, what are you doing? I'm just cutting your lawn. 3 in the morning. He was so sweet, he'd mow our lawn. Meanwhile, police stressed Monday that they are investigating the incident as an accidental drowning, but are looking into every lead. An autopsy was conducted Monday morning, although King's cause of death will not be made public until the completion of toxicology tests. See, here's the other thing. In 6 to 8 weeks, why do I have a theory on why these toxicology tests take so long, because I believe you could get them in an afternoon. If you really wanted to do them.
I think so.
I think you can. Here's what I think. I think on these big because the only time you're interested in toxicology results is when it pertains to a celebrity.
Right.
When a normal person dies, you don't care about the toxicology. But a celebrity, you always want to know what they had going through their veins. I think that they do it on purpose 6 to 8 weeks to kill the story, to kill people's interest in the story.
Possible. Yeah.
It always fades away by the time it does come around.
It does. Nobody cares because everyone just assumes the court of public opinion condemns him for being on all kinds of things. And then it's like 2 months before you find out for sure.
Yeah, or in
Just my
Whitney
theory.
Houston's case, that you find out that it was much worse.
Yeah, it took months to get everybody, but yet the day Whitney died, we were all like, yeah, she was doing blow and she was doing this. But then it did take 2 months for them to actually come back with the official toxicology. Findings from the autopsy are critical to the investigation because they may reveal whether King suffered an undiagnosed medical condition that caused him to lose consciousness, or if he had been drinking or was under the influence of drugs when he died. There were no outward signs of alcohol or drug use that may have caused King to fall into the pool, police said. However, investigators Sunday confiscated what appeared to be marijuana plants from King's home. Oh, he was growing. He was growing his own weed.
Medical.
Sure, of course, because he's got. I bet he's got a medical plant or a medical card.
I'd say that the sign of being drunk or some type of being messed up is where he's an avid swimmer but drowned in a pool. I think that basically says that you're probably pretty messed up or something.
Yeah, and his wife in earlier reports, his wife had said that he'd been drinking, and they released the stuff about the marijuana and all that. I mean, look, you don't stay up all night sobbing naked in your backyard if you're not on something. Something's going on.
Maybe he was a little depressed. It's Father's Day.
Maybe. I don't even know. Does Rodney King have kids?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they really covered that in Celebrity Rehab. All right, well, there you have it. Rodney King has passed away. He died. He died in his swimming pool at the age of 47. But, folks, please remember, Rodney King was not... You degrade what people like Rosa Parks did.
Oh,
when
on,
you
Pugs.
compare... No, you
Come
do.
on.
You degrade the bravery that it took for her to do what she did when you compare Rodney King to someone like Rosa Parks. We'll take a break. We'll come back. It's thebarlive.com. I'm not going to let you get your word. It's thebarlive.com. PMS, the Pugs Moran Show. Back after this. It's thebarlive.com, PMS, the Pugs Moran Show for a Tuesday afternoon, broadcasting live today. Broadcasting live from the back nine. That's right, the back nine. Haven't been here in a while. Good to be back. Last minute lunch broadcast. We're happy to be here. Back nine located on Beltline Road between Midway and Marsh here in beautiful sunny Addison, Texas. Jimmy Ryan is with me. Hi, Jimmy.
Hey, man.
We've also got Wayne Neal, old friend. Wayne from the Pub and Grub. You all remember Wayne? Hi, Wayne.
Hey.
What kind of pizza did you just feed me? Pizza had pineapple on it.
It's Hawaiian.
Well, I know it exists, but I lose respect for people who order pizza with a pineapple on it.
Canadian. Well, you're a Chicago deep dish dude.
It was good, though. I'll give you that. It was good. But I wouldn't call it pizza.
Right.
I did have a piece of Chicago deep dish just last week.
Where from? Because that matters.
Couldn't tell you.
A lot of places pass themselves off. It's the same way places pass themselves off as real Texas barbecue, and you're like, this is crap.
It was on the bus when I got back to it, and I had a slice, and the thing was 2 inches thick.
3 pounds.
And yeah, that thing is crazy.
Yeah, you can get some weight put on eating that stuff.
$75 for a medium deep dish Chicago pizza.
$75?
I'm kidding.
Well, they are expensive, though. They're like $30
Yeah.
for a deep dish.
Probably
for a
got
large.
3 pounds of cheese on it.
Oh, yeah. A lot of meat, all that stuff. All right, what do you say we get into a little bit of a little douche tournament here? This is every day. We like to toss out a couple of stories that are happening in the news, and we determine who is the biggest douche. The first one, boy, too bad Emil isn't here, because Emil could try and explain to me what the hell is so artistic about this. Yoko Ono is back in the news today. She's apparently got a new art exhibit that she will be exhibiting in New York City. And I'm gonna let you guys see what her art exhibit is. Come here, Wayne. This is the new piece of artwork from Yoko Ono. Jimmy Ryan, this is the new art exhibition from Yoko Ono.
That's an automatic douche right there.
How can somebody married to someone as talented and artistically brilliant as John Lennon be such a fraud when it comes to art? I'm going to describe to you what Yoko Ono's big. And by the way, it's been 40 years since she has done an art exhibition. It's a room in an art gallery with 3 piles of dirt.
What kind of dirt is it?
I don't know. I don't know. It's I bet if I read it, I can find out. I bet you there is some significance to this art. Sure there is, Yoko.
Maybe it was the dirt of John Lennon's grave.
Now, that would be interesting. Although that would not be
No,
that would not be what that. But it would be interesting. It would actually be something.
Actually, how many Beatles are actually left? It could
2.
be
Ringo and Paul.
could be 3 piles of dead Beatles.
3 piles. Well, there's only 2 that are dead.
Well,
Although
there was a 5th.
Stu Sutcliffe. Yeah, Stu's dead. So maybe that's what it is. It's been several decades, and by the way, this is in London, not New York. I apologize. It's been several decades since she spread the message war is over with her late husband, John Lennon, but Yoko Ono has embraced it once again in her latest work. To the Light in the Serpentine Gallery is her first exhibition in a London public institution in years. In one work of art on display, there are 3 identical mounds of earth labeled Country A, Country B, and Country C in front of the classic War is Over poster she made with John Lennon. That's it.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, art.
Douche.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, what is she trying to do here?
But the fun,
How do you sell that too, by the way? How do you
people
sell
will
that?
buy a ticket to go see that too.
Sure
just
they will.
because it's Yoko.
Because it's her name. Yeah, no, look, I saw it on Good Morning America this morning. I saw it on CNN this morning. Now I see it here. So she's getting the publicity that she probably wanted, but it's really just
Who's
three
the
mounds of
famous
dirt.
graffiti guy out of London? It's a mystery. What's his?
I don't know.
He had an exhibition just recently, but he's super famous. Starts with a B. I forget.
I don't know. I'm not big on the art world.
He was this graffiti guy. He'd go around and put up these messages, and nobody's ever seen his face or something. And then they finally had he did a gallery showing, and he sold stuff that was, on the corner of a street wall for $1 million, and now he's the super famous graffiti guy.
What a scam.
Yeah.
What a scam. Our buddy Emil, he does that. He makes a lot of money. I mean, here's what Emil is. Emil's got a really awesome eye for color and texture, and anything that he paints you can put in your living room, and it's going to make the room pop. But he doesn't draw things. It's not like he draws a dog or he can't sketch, he can't draw. It's just colors and patterns.
That's
and it looks
the weed.
real. Yeah, well, certainly it probably plays a big part in it. But I've seen some of his stuff and I go, wow, that is beautiful. I don't know what it is, but man, I love the way the colors pop. I love the way you go to his place and it's like he's got this artwork and it matches with the carpeting and the pillows on the couches and everything. It really works. And that is a talent, having an eye for that. I do not have that.
Well, it is like really weird when you see somebody doing one of those things, and it's supposed to be like that modern look where you really can't tell. It's not a dog, it's not a house or anything like that. But I like the idea of like the janitor that was working that area that Yoko Ono was setting up her dirt stands in.
He thought he had to clean it.
And he kept on cleaning it, but then finally Yoko said that this is part of her project, and then for like the next 3 weeks he watched as this lunatic takes dirt and like meticulously places it in certain parts.
There used to be 4 piles of dirt.
Yeah, like she knows exactly where every grain is. All right, let's go to douche tournament candidate number 2. This is a funny story. A group of young students at an all-girls school were left in a mass hypnosis after a demonstration from a fledgling hypnotist reportedly left them locked in a trance. So this guy goes to this girls' school, does a demonstration in front of the class on hypnosis, hypnotizes all the girls, and then can't get them back. They are all locked in a trance.
What kind of trance, though? Were they like a certain keyword they turned into washing machines?
Well, no, that's nothing was working. So it's like, I imagine the flop sweat on this guy as he's like, trying, Mafugi! And it's not working. And they're just,
They're just sitting there kind of like a zombie?
Yeah. Yeah,
wow.
They were sitting there in a dead trance, just staring. Some of the girls are described to have having their heads down on the desk. You couldn't wake them up. Their eyes were open, but they were just nobody home.
I'd be getting out of town quickly.
Now, here's the first question. Do you believe in hypnosis? I mean, don't we know that hypnosis is a real thing now? I mean, people for years, doctors, yes, you can actually get somebody's brain to a point.
I tried it for smoking.
I have been hypnotized. I mean, I've gone to hypnotist shows, and I have been hypnotized. And I can tell you that I wasn't faking, and I don't remember anything that I did. I saw it on videotape, and I'm like, I don't remember that. Wow. So for me, I completely believe in it.
Yeah, I tried it for smoking and went in there and woke up like 20 minutes later, and my wallet was in my other pocket.
And your fly was down. And you weren't wearing underwear.
But I started smoking again like in 2 days.
Yeah, but the point is that you actually were somehow hypnotized. I mean, I did a past life regression that apparently took 8 hours in this hypnotist's office, and I was all wired up, and they were recording what I was saying. And here's what I remember. Apparently, it was like I went in there at 11 o'clock in the morning, and I got out of there at 6 o'clock at night, and all I remember is sitting in the room in this comfortable chair in the dark. I put the headphones on. He was in another room talking to me into the headphones. I remember closing my eyes, and I remember immediately opening up. That's it. I closed my eyes, and I immediately opened them up.
Wow.
Now, 8 hours had passed, but I didn't know those 8 hours had passed.
Maybe they just moved the clocks forward.
Well, no, because there was a recording. You recorded everything that I said. And on the way home, I'm like listening to this recording, blown away. I had to pull over. I'm like, I don't remember any of this.
What's that movie with Jodie Foster in it where she goes through the time warp?
Contact,
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, no, it wasn't quite that much of a spectacle, but it was a cool, like the room I was in was like really cool. It was like designed for this kind of thing, and it was an easy chair that you relax back. I remember I had a blanket, I was wearing headphones, and he was talking to me in another room, like a control room. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to begin to count back from 10.
You're going to feel heavy.
I know, right? And so I believe in hypnosis. Maxime Nadeau was forced to call on his mentor for assistance after the hypnotist could not reverse the condition of several 12 and 13-year-old girls at this private school in Quebec, Canada. One of the girls was reportedly left in a trance for 5 hours. Being in a trance is a state of well-being, Nadeau told the CBC's French language service. I wasn't stressed. I knew they would get out of it. Still, Nadeau eventually called in his mentor and trainer, Richard Whitebread, to reverse the effects. So it went on long enough that he had to go get on the phone and get some other dude to come down to the school and help him with whatever was going on.
Wow. I don't think that qualifies as a douche. That just qualifies as an idiot.
All right. Well, we'll get to that. Hold on. We'll find the other. All right. And now the third douche of the day is going to be the United States Federal Prosecutor's Office. For, once again, failing to convict a celebrity on something that they put him up on. And, of course, I'm talking about Roger Clemens. Roger Clemens is another one of these massive frauds. First of all, I know people who know the guy. He's not a nice guy. He's kind of a jerk. He is everything that I speak about when I talk about professional athletes. They're arrogant. They think. How many times you were in the bar business? How many arrogant SOB athletes have you had to deal with in the bar business? Coming in, not paying their bill. They think it should be free. They send some lackey to negotiate.
Declining credit cards. Yeah.
Yeah, $1 million a month, but their credit cards get declined.
Yep. Lots of them.
So Roger Clemens was basically up on charges that he lied to Congress. And again, folks, this is the big lesson in life that nobody seems to ever learn. It's not the crime, it's the cover-up. Roger Clemens was not on trial for steroids. He was on trial for lying to Congress under oath about steroids. Perjury, exactly. And once again, the United States Federal Prosecutor's Office failed to be able to get a conviction. Why? Well, simply because when you're a celebrity, you can afford better attorneys than the United States government can. The government has attorneys who are working their way up to having a big private practice where they can represent people like Roger Clemens.
They're interns.
Basically, yes. No, essentially, they are. They are young attorneys who are working in civil service in order to, sort of get their chops down. Meanwhile, Roger Clemens goes out, hires a dream team of guys who have been, litigating things for 40, 50 years, and every single time the United States government prosecutors get crushed by these dreams. Now, you or I, if we went up against the United States government prosecutors, we'd probably get our ass handed to us.
Right.
But a guy like Roger Clemens, he goes out and assembles a dream team.
Well, everybody knows that politicians do not lie.
Absolutely. All right, so there you have it. Those are our three for the douche tournament today. Got Yoko Ono and her ridiculous art exhibition. We've got the hypnotist in Canada who couldn't reverse the charges. And then we've got the United States Federal Prosecutor's Office who can't seem to get, and it's not just the United States, it's almost any municipal prosecutor that can't get a conviction on a celebrity with a dream team attorney. Who is it, Jimmy Ryan? Who's the douche today?
It's really tough because we were talking about this a little bit earlier about the Roger Clemens thing. And, obviously I take it a little bit further back where I just don't understand why he was there in the first place, so I really can't go down that thing and be mad that they weren't able to get him in the end for perjury.
All right, now expand on that a little bit. What do you mean?
Well, why are you there for players doping up in Major League Baseball? Why is our government even bothered with Major League Baseball?
Why was there a congressional hearing on steroids in baseball in the first place? I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more on that.
Yeah.
However, it happened. So now we just got to address this. But you're absolutely right. Why is the United States Congress taking time to line up a bunch of baseball players and ask them if they ever juiced?
Yeah, I can only think of 100,000 other things that they could be doing that would be better, more practical use of the time. But, as long as they're going to be on that. What was the second one?
Second one was the hypnotist.
That one I kind of find funny. He's like,
yeah, but it's douchey. You shouldn't go out. You shouldn't use your hypnosis. You shouldn't use your hypnotism skills if you don't have them down completely. And this guy went into a school with 12 and 13-year-old kids, hypnotized them, and then couldn't get them back.
Yeah, but they were Canadians.
Well, again, with the Canadians, why do you hate Canadians?
I don't hate them.
No. Jimmy?
You're a hypnotist. I'm not expecting you to be, a neurosurgeon and really have everything all down. This is really kind of like, a last-ditch effort. If you need to quit smoking and you've tried everything else, Nicoderm ended up making you almost go mental on your wife when you went home. Maybe you try hypnotism. And if this guy can't wake you up in the end of it, price of doing business. You'll be up in 5 hours.
All right, so you're going to go with the Yoko Ono and her 3 mounds of dirt.
Even though that is what I expect from her, is just absolute ridiculousness.
Right.
But, yeah.
All right, let's go to Wayne. Wayne, who do you have as today's douche?
I'm going to have to stay with Yoko. I think.
Really?
Yeah. I think what you said with, politics in baseball, come on. They have no business being there. The hypnotist, I think he's just an idiot. But Yoko, she knows better.
All right, well, I don't even have a voice here. I was going to go with the hypnotist. I thought that was obviously the biggest douche of the day, the guy who put a bunch of kids under hypnosis and couldn't get them out, but you guys overruled me, so today's douche of the day is Yoko Ono and her 3 mounds of dirt.
I mean, if you went and put 3 mounds of dirt somewhere, they'd probably lock you up.
Yeah, well, I certainly wouldn't get a big exhibition in London. That's for sure.
It's funny because like if I was to make a cartoon and I had to like make Yoko Ono into like a 3-second character that everyone understood, she would be standing next to 3 mounds of dirt calling it art.
Yes, that would be pretty much how you would sum her up.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. All right, a little bit of watch list here as we round out today's show. There's not. I don't know what the hell's on TV. This is such a bad. You know what we missed though, and I wanted to talk about it on Friday, but we missed it. Did anybody see the High Wire Act over Niagara Falls?
Oh, yes.
I did.
And the controversy.
What is the controversy?
The tether.
The safety.
Oh, yeah. That was crap.
He didn't want to do it. But
they made him?
CBS, is it CBS?
ABC.
It was ABC.
ABC made him, as part of his contract, that he had to be tethered.
Essentially, yes. They do this whole build-up, 3 hours of build-up, I might add. This started at 7 o'clock at night with a 1 hour sort of pregame, and then it went from 8 to 10. He didn't even start walking until like 9:45. So it was all this build-up about how dangerous and how, look at how nervous Nick Walenda is, and this is his uncle fell to his death in 1972. All this stuff, building it up, and then he starts to walk, and they go, oh yeah, by the way, he's tethered to the line now, so there's no way he's gonna die.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I mean, not that I want to see anybody die, but
Isn't that bait and switch?
yeah, definitely.
I mean, we were tuning in. It would be like if you tuned in for a NASCAR race and they said, you know what, this seems really dangerous. You guys can't go quicker than 50 miles an hour. Nobody would watch that.
Yeah. Like, what he should have done is got halfway across and then just taken the line off. Ooh.
Yeah, or see, because that's what he wouldn't have fallen to his death. He wouldn't have fallen. He would have been hanging from there, and they would have retrieved him.
I just love the idea.
So where's the thrill for us?
The sponsors are all like pulling out because he's now unlatched himself to the thing, and there's a sales guy on the other end going, "Get off of there! Get off of there!"
We were promised a high probability of death. Although he did it, he didn't need to tether. So if
he ran like the last 20 yards or something.
I don't get that. I don't know how.
That's crazy.
All right, I watched it, and I thought it was, whatever. It was Friday night in the summer. There's nothing on TV, so I got my kid. My kid was totally mesmerized by it. He didn't. I had to explain it to him, and he's looking at me like, he can't do that.
What an idiot. Yeah.
And then I had a line. I had this extension cord that I put on the living room. I stretched it out on the living room, and I said, go ahead, walk on the court. I want to see if you can do it. And then the kid is like, he can't do it, Dad. He can't do it. I'm like, well.
I bet you that guy would be great at a sobriety test.
Oh, yeah. No way. He'd get convicted.
What's kind of aggravating about the whole thing, though, is that, like, leading up to it, they were talking about how, just one slip and it's doom.
Yeah.
There's no doom.
There is no doom. You're lying to us.
Yeah, the whole thing's set up by NASA engineers. He's going to be fine. Like, if he slips, he's just basically going to dangle. Everyone's going to laugh at him. He's going to be a little bit embarrassed, probably have rosy cheeks on the way down, and then he goes home.
Would it have been better TV had he fell and dangled? I think it would have.
Oh, at that point, yeah, because then at least there's a payoff.
And you know what the other problem with these live events where death is a possibility, a severe possibility? If he were to die, we would have never seen it on TV.
Oh, no.
Even in a live event,
Even
they have
with
a delay.
60 cameras right there.
That's right. They have a delay, and they would have blacked out of the delay, and no one would have seen anything. So, meh, what are you going to do? But I was thinking tightrope walking. Are you kidding me? That is like such an old-timey kind of stunt. There are things that can be done now. For instance, Red Bull every New Year's Eve does the big Red Bull Las Vegas New Year's Eve stunt. And they always, for the last couple of years, they've done it. In the last couple of years that I haven't been out on New Year's Eve, I've watched these stunts, and they're awesome.
What are they?
Robbie, it's not Robbie Gordon. It's Robbie something. He's like some famous motorcycle guy. He's like the new Evel Knievel. Yeah, he's like that. No, it's not Robbie Knievel, but it's Robbie someone else.
Okay.
Like, even Robbie Knievel is now like 60. He's not doing this. This kid is like in his 20s, but he set the record for the longest motorcycle jump and all this. He did the most amazing thing in Las Vegas 2 New Year's Eves ago. He took his motorcycle, and one of the hotels there has a giant Arc de Triomphe, like they have in Paris. It's like, I don't know what hotel it is.
All right.
But basically, he started off on the roof of the hotel on the motorcycle, okay? Then he jumped off the roof of the motorcycle and landed on this giant arc thing. So, I mean, he's like way up in the sky, and he jumps off it. Then he was on the arc. Then he had to make it down to street level. So then he had to jump off the... It was awesome. I'll put it up on YouTube. I mean, it was legitimately a cool-ass stunt. And so I'm thinking about that the whole time I'm watching this guy on the high wire, and I'm just going... How lame is this? Boring is right. This is lame. And then there's this other guy out there, and I posted him on my Facebook page as a hint to ABC. Should they really want to do something super cool, maybe something that's new millennial? I mean, this tightrope thing, they were walking tightropes in the 1700s. This is ridiculous. There's a guy named Jeb Corliss. Anybody know who Jeb Corliss is?
Yep.
This is my favorite Daredevil going right now. I've seen every YouTube video this guy has. He amazes the hell out of me. Jeb Corliss is the guy who invented the flying suit.
Yes.
Have you seen him?
Yes.
And he jumps off cliffs and then flies like
Forever.
forever. And he does stunts like there's one awesome stunt where his friend was like, I don't know, 2 miles away down in the valley holding up red balloons. And he had to fly off the cliff, and he had to fly through the red balloons, like basically cutting them out of his hands.
Wow.
It was awesome.
Did you see the one where the guy hit the edge of the cliff?
I think that's Jeb. He hit the edge and almost died.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like he was flying. He got too close to the wall, and he's doing like you can see how fast this guy's going in this flight suit. I mean, it's like he's like a bullet. And he hit the edge of it, didn't clear it, and then just went end over end over end. And then his parachute came out, and he landed on the ground. He really screwed himself up. He was in the hospital. I think he was in a coma and stuff, but he's back, and he's doing it again.
Wow.
His partner, they did a double jump 5 years ago, and his partner did die.
Oh, wow.
His partner went straight into the side of a wall, a canyon wall.
Ouch.
Dead on impact.
And that's why AT&T, ABC is just so out of touch. I mean, it's as if they don't realize that there's YouTube videos out here showing daredevils doing things 10 times worse.
Exactly.
I mean, like that guy didn't need cushion on the side of the cliff, just in case he hit it a little bit too hard. He was going to hit the cliff, and Red Bull will support that. They'll actually sponsor it. So I mean, like if they wanted to get the right sponsors, because that ended up being the issue apparently, like
Maybe
the sponsors that they
jacked
had.
up on Red Bull.
Yeah. I mean,
He's got a death wish. I mean, he says he's not afraid to die, and that, this is just from the time he was a little kid. He was the guy jumping off the roof in a cape and all that stuff. And look, if this is how you want to lead your life, go for it. I'll be entertained by it, but...
Yeah, but it's network television. They're not going to take any chances or risk any lawsuits.
But this dude, the flying guy, okay? How about this? I was trying to come up with cool stunts for him. All right. How about he threads the needle, the St. Louis Arch? Jumps out of an airplane, and he's got to fly right through the arch before landing. Or how about this? He jumps off the Empire State Building, and he's got to glide through the canyons of New York City.
Could be cool. Maybe the new building they're building right there at World Trade. That's going to be bigger than the Empire State, I think.
Let him jump off that.
Yeah.
I just think that ABC, there are cooler, and Jimmy, you bring up a good point. It's like they're so out of touch that they think, hey, a high wire act or a guy jumping over a shark tank in a motorcycle, ain't going to do it anymore. Not with the YouTube jackass generation. You need to ratchet that stuff up because it takes more to entertain us than some guy named Walenda on a trapeze or a high wire.
We're looking for a guy getting hit by an ice cream truck. Have you seen that YouTube?
No. No.
There's a black guy.
On a motorcycle?
No, he's standing in the middle of the street and an ice cream truck runs him over. It's the most funniest thing I've ever seen.
Did he die?
No, he lives to tell about it. And then like Tosh Bono does a rap video to getting hit by an ice cream truck. It's hysterical.
All right, I'll look that one up. I watch all the YouTube stuff. But Jeb Corliss, check him out. Google search him and watch his videos. Watch what he's all sponsored up and everything. He's making a living doing this stuff. I mean, he's making a good living. Yeah, and he does. He looks like a flying squirrel. But the outfit is so cool. The uniform, the flying suit is badass. I mean, he looks like Batman. He looks like the real Batman.
Well, the military have flying suits when they halo jump.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they can. You're at 40,000 feet and you jump out. Well, now you can more pinpoint where you want to land. So the further away from your target site is, the less you show up on radar and things like that. So they do flying suits as well.
Like we could have like an entire like brigade of dudes in flying suits that just sneak attack.
SEAL teams do that.
They do?
Oh, yeah.
See, I thought that the flying suit thing was really rare. I mean, Jeb Corliss is like the most well-known of the flying suit stuntmen or acrobats, but yeah, okay, I guess it's not that rare. I don't know that I would ever want to try it. I mean, I don't want to jump out of an airplane with a parachute, so.
I have jumped out of an airplane with a parachute in the military, and I've done a halo jump, and it's not fun.
What is a halo jump?
High altitude, low opening.
What is that? What does low opening mean?
Means I pulled the chute at about 2,000 feet.
Oh, so you're falling for thousands and thousands of feet.
And I'm jumping out of the airplane at 40,000 feet.
38,000 feet by my math.
And
a free fall.
At 2,000 feet, you're pretty much pulling the chute, and boom, you're landing.
Does it hurt? I mean, imagine you're hitting the ground at a pretty high rate of speed, right?
You're at 30, 40 miles an hour. Yeah, it's.
Jeez. I mean, and you crash into the ground, right? You don't land on your feet. You roll.
Oh, it's a duck and roll, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, there you have it. That's the watch list for today. Go to YouTube. I'm going to tell you, I'll go to YouTube and watch Jeb Corliss. This is the guy that ought to be on ABC in some live stunt spectacular, not some Wallenda tethered with a safety line across Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls. I mean, everything about that whole thing was 1955. Everything from Niagara Falls to a tightrope to the name Wallenda. Which goes all the way back to vaudeville days. All right,
in 1910, wasn't there like an old lady who ended up going over Niagara Falls in a pail?
Yeah, people have done it a lot, I guess.
Yeah,
in a pail.
Like one of these like
barrels.
barrels.
A barrel,
yeah, in a barrel. Yeah.
She live?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people.
She's a little beat up.
Because some people do live, but a lot of people do die too.
Yeah.
There's about 40 cases of barrel people.
I don't know. You think I'd have heard that on ABC?
There was
Friday.
one guy that had a sealed barrel and had air, like oxygen in the barrel, and went over the falls, but at the bottom where it creates that little current, and it just swirled the barrel around all the time, and it just got stuck there. So he ran out of air and suffocated.
It was like in a washing machine.
Right.
It
took him
a horrible way to go.
Well, no, you know what? I say, hey, you knew the risk. What kind of a dummy would think to do this in the first place? You got to be perfectly okay with the worst case scenario being the outcome, because there's no guarantees in this.
And nowadays they've cut back the amount of water that flows over the falls now because it erodes so quickly. So it's only 30% of the water nowadays that goes over the falls compared to past. Because when you go to Niagara Falls, you see that big long channel. Well, that's because of the falls. It keeps eating away the.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Niagara Falls. Again, that's a very 1950s kind of place.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
All right, also kind of cool. The Back Nine, thank you for hosting us here. Well, I see a poster for our Bikers Garage show. That's right. We're out here every Sunday afternoon for the Biker Wash and all that good stuff. Jimmy Ryan, anything in closing?
No. Well, we did Really Bad Radio last night, so it's up on YouTube now.
Okay.
If you want to check that out. So
the return of Really Bad Radio.
YouTube. Yep.
All right, that's going to do it. We're at the Back Nine. Ben at the Back Nine. Thank you to anyone who came out here. Sorry it was so last minute. And we'll be back in the studio tomorrow. The Bar Live. It's PMS, the Pugs Moran Show at thebarlive.com.